The more one reflects on virtuous things, the more beautiful that person's world and the world at large will become. There is a subtle yet enduring law quietly at work in the depths of the human soul. We gradually become whatever we contemplate most often. When the mind turns toward what is good and beautiful, it does more than simply think about virtue. It silently reshapes itself in the image of that very goodness. Just like a garden that grows whatever seeds are sown, whether fragrant flowers or weeds, the mind nurtures whatever we focus on long enough. When a person chooses to dwell on positive thoughts, they are not merely stirring, fleeting, pleasant feelings. They are building an entire inner ecosystem alive with hope, gratitude, and kindness taking root and blossoming. A clear mind is like a lantern shining through the darkest night. Its light spreads outward, touching every soul nearby and softening the hardened edges of life. When we view the world through a lens of goodness, we unconsciously become gentler, more patient, and those very actions ripple outward like waves through our community. The world does not change because of loud slogans. It changes through small, steady thoughts watered daily in the hearts of ordinary people. Contemplating what is good is not naive optimism. It is a conscious, creative act. It is like choosing to turn your face toward the sun. The darkness does not vanish instantly, but it remains forever behind you. And on that journey, we do not merely discover a more beautiful world, we become an active part of creating that beauty in our own lives. The greatest blessings of mankind lie within us and within our reach. The wise person is content with their fate, whatever it may be, and does not wish for what they do not have. People often wander the earth in search of happiness, while the greatest treasure lies quietly within their own hearts. Humanity's greatest blessings are not the glittering things outside us, but the ability to recognize, accept, and peacefully dwell in the present moment. When a person is no longer swept away by unfulfilled desires, their mind becomes like a still, crystal clear lake, deep and reflecting the world in its truest light. In contrast, those who constantly crave what they do not have are like a thirsty person drinking seawater. The more they drink, the thirstier they become, drifting ever farther from true fulfillment. True wisdom is not passive resignation. It is a state of profound awakening where one clearly understands their own limits and deeply treasures what already exists. It is the moment we realize that real value lies not in possessing more, but in feeling the depth of what we already have. A small piece of bread in the hands of someone who knows contentment can become a lavish feast, while an entire banquet before the eyes of the greedy remains nothing but cleverly disguised emptiness. When people stop demanding that life be different, they begin to live fully within it. And in that very instant, a quiet transformation occurs. The outer world stays exactly the same, yet the inner world grows wider, warmer, and more peaceful than ever before. Perhaps the greatest blessing is not having everything, but no longer feeling that anything is missing. When it becomes clear that a goal cannot be reached, do not adjust the goal, adjust the steps of action. Goals are like fixed stars high in the sky. They do not need to move just because we have not yet reached them. What usually betrays us is not the destination, but the path we choose to walk toward it. When someone hastily changes their goal the moment they hit an obstacle, they are actually letting fleeting emotions obscure their far vision, like a traveler lost in the desert who keeps changing direction because of a few gusts of sand, forever missing the green oasis. The wise person, however, pauses, observes carefully, and realizes the problem is not the destination, but the way, in every step, every strategy, every small but decisive habit. Adjusting one's actions is the art of flexible wisdom. It requires stepping back from disappointment and examining the process, almost coldly yet deeply. Where did we stray? Where did we rush? What did we overlook? At that point, every failure stops being proof of helplessness and becomes precious data for rebuilding our approach. A person who changes method but stays true to the goal is like water, not shattering the rock with violent force, but wearing it away with soft, persistent patience, flowing around every obstacle until it reaches its destination. Do not let temporary stumbles dim the meaning of the journey. Once we understand that we only need to adjust how we walk, not abandon where we want to go, a deep sense of steadiness rises within us, turning life from a string of lonely failures into an endless process of learning. And in that very steadfastness, we gradually realize that success is never random luck. It is the result of knowing exactly what to change and when. Keep calm and carry on. Winston Churchill. Calmness is not procrastination or a sign of weakness. It is the ability to hold one's inner self steady amid the whirlwind of emotion. The mind is like a solid rock in a rushing river. The water may crash violently against it, yet the rock stands unmoved, never losing its shape. When people lose their calm, they do not merely react to the problem, they magnify it, turning finite difficulties into an invisible weight that crushes the soul. Carry on is a powerful declaration of will. It does not demand giant leaps, only quiet persistence, one small step after another, no matter how tired or doubtful we feel. There are times when life feels like a road lost in thick fog. We cannot see the destination, yet that is no reason to stop. The wise do not let uncertainty paralyze them. They accept it as an inevitable part of the journey. Calmness in the mind, paired with steadfastness in action, creates an extraordinary, enduring strength. It makes no noise, seeks no applause, yet it can carry a person farther than any impulsive burst ever could. And in that process, we discover that hardship is not a wall blocking the way, it is a test of the heart's endurance. As long as we refuse to panic and keep moving forward, we draw closer to the strongest version of ourselves. There may be people more talented than you, but there is no reason for anyone to work harder than you, and I believe that. Derek Jeter. You may not control the talent you were born with, but you have complete mastery over the level of effort you give. Talent is like a random gift. Some receive it, some do not, but hard work is a daily choice, an act born of decision rather than destiny. When a person accepts that there will always be someone more talented, they stand at a crossroads, shrink into self-doubt, or ignite a quiet but fierce discipline, a flame that burns even when no one is watching. The belief that no one will outwork me is not arrogance. It is a profound inner commitment, a private pact that you will never be defeated by laziness or delay. It turns every day into a private arena where the real opponent is not the more gifted person, but your own easier, lazier self. In that state, fatigue stops being an excuse to quit and becomes a signal that you are approaching your limits and perhaps expanding them. Someone who labors steadily day after day is like a single drop of water falling endlessly on stone. At first it seems useless, yet over time it carves grooves that can never be erased. That very repetition quietly closes the gap between the gifted and the ungifted and sometimes reverses it completely. Talent may let you start faster, but only hard work decides how far you will go. This belief brings an intense sense of mastery over life. The world is no longer a game of comparison, but a journey of total, wholehearted dedication. When you know you have given everything, a strange peace washes over you, not because victory is guaranteed, but because you have nothing left to regret. It takes half a lifetime before you realize that life is a project you build yourself. Napoleon Hill. The moment we suddenly understand that no one else is truly building our life for us. Before, we lived as if we were merely a piece in someone else's blueprint, family, society, invisible expectations making every choice feel already decided. But after enough cycles of half success and quiet disappointment, we awaken to a truth both harsh and liberating. This life is a self-made project where we are simultaneously the brilliant architect, the diligent builder, and the one responsible for every brick placed wrong. This realization comes late not because it is hard to understand, but because it demands a depth of inner maturity great enough to fully embrace absolute responsibility. When we are young, it is easy to blame circumstances or other people, as if we were merely victims of an unfair script. But after riding enough storms, that illusion cracks open, revealing the raw truth. It is the small choices, repeated every day, that quietly shape our destiny. At this point, life is no longer a ready-made road, it is a work in progress. with solid sections, makeshift patches, and parts that need to be torn down and rebuilt. And the miracle is that the moment we accept we are the ultimate one in charge, a profound sense of freedom surges within us. Because if everything is ours to create, then we also have the right to repair, to change, to begin again from the start. It takes half a lifetime is not just a lament, it is a powerful wake-up call. The sooner we realize we are the creator, the sooner we begin to live with true awareness and fullness. And then every day stops drifting by aimlessly and becomes part of a slow, purposeful construction bearing the unique, irreplaceable signature of our own soul. What matters is your attitude toward life. If you look at yourself with ease and without taking yourself too seriously, you will soon find humor in everyday life. And sometimes that can save your life. Betty White. Life does not change simply because we view it differently, yet the way we view it changes everything. Attitude is like an invisible filter over every experience. It decides whether we see a burden or a joke, a tragedy or a moment worth smiling at. When a person takes themselves too seriously, they unconsciously turn every mistake into an indictment and every failure into a crack in their self-worth. The mind then becomes a sealed room where every sound echoes loudly, making even small things feel suffocatingly heavy. When we learn to loosen our grip on the ego and look at ourselves with a little humor and kindness, life immediately shifts its colors. Situations that once made us tense now feel like humorous scenes in the everyday play of life, where we are both actor and delighted audience. Laughter in such moments is not escape, it is a powerful release. It melts pressure, pulls us out of the spiral of negative thoughts, and gives us back the space we need to breathe freely. This kind of humor is not shallow, it is a refined form of intelligence. It helps us see the absurdity in what we once considered gravely serious, thereby stripping those things of their power over our minds. There are moments when the simple ability to laugh in the face of adversity becomes a lifeline, keeping us from sinking into despair or spiritual exhaustion. Attitude is not merely an emotional choice, it is a wise survival strategy. When we stop being too hard on ourselves, we do not diminish our value. On the contrary, we open up vast inner space for healing, adaptation, and steady forward movement. And sometimes, just one well-timed smile is enough to turn an entire day, even an entire chapter of life around. When writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else hold the pen for you. Harley Davidson. We often think we are living our own life, yet we are actually performing scripts written by others, family, society, invisible standards, quietly shaping every choice. If you do not hold the pen, someone else will write for you and they will follow their own logic, not the truth of who you really are. In that case, life becomes a borrowed draft, perfect in the eyes of outsiders, yet empty in the depths of the heart. Writing it yourself is not an act of outward rebellion, it is a profound confrontation with your own soul. It demands that you understand what you truly desire, accept your unfinished flaws, and dare to make decisions even without approval from those around you. This is not easy, because it means you no longer have anyone to blame. Every mistake, every misstep carries your own signature. But for that very reason, every triumph and every meaningful moment becomes more authentic and deeply felt than ever before. Life is not a pre-printed book, it is a blank page always stretching out before you. Some passages you write with the fire of confidence, others you scribble in confusion, and there may even be pages you want to tear out. Yet every line bears a unique mark that cannot be copied. And it is that very imperfection that gives the story its fierce, living power. When you keep a firm grip on the pen, a quiet transformation happens. You stop being a character swept along by circumstances and become the creator of meaning within them. Life is no longer simply what happens to you. It is something you actively shape and draw. And in that moment, you understand an important truth. Freedom is not the absence of limits. It is the right to keep writing your story in the way most honest to your deepest self. I believe that if you simply stand up and start walking, life will open up for you. Something will urge you to keep moving forward. Tina Turner. Life does not open its arms to those who stand still too long inside the whirlpool of doubt. Inside every human being, there is a quiet inner force, not loud like ambition, not clear like a plan, yet strong enough that we cannot remain content forever. It is like an underground current beneath the surface of the mind, always whispering softly, just try one more step. When we procrastinate, we think we are waiting for the perfect moment, but in truth, we are paralyzing that very inner drive. Stand up and walk is the moment we break psychological inertia, when we refuse to be defined by fear, laziness, or the failure scenarios we ourselves imagine. The wonder is that life rarely hands us a complete map. It only reveals the path once we begin to move. Like automatic doors that open only when someone approaches, opportunities, experiences, and new connections appear only when we have the courage to step out of stillness. That urge we feel is not some distant mystery. It is the sign that the deepest part of us is still alive and still longs to expand our own horizons. If we listen and act on it, even the smallest step becomes a declaration that we are truly participating in the flow of life instead of standing outside watching indifferently. Gradually, in ways we may not notice at first, the world begins to answer back. Not with dramatic changes, but through small doors opening at just the right time, seemingly coincidental opportunities, and remarkable people appearing along the way. Then we understand that life is not something waiting for us to be perfectly ready. It is something that moves alongside us as long as we never stop walking forward. A good life is a life inspired by love and guided by knowledge. Bertrand Russell. Love is the flame that ignites. Knowledge is the hand that guides. If there is only knowledge without love, people easily become cold machines calculating with perfect precision yet without a soul, unaware of what they are truly serving. Conversely, if there is only love without knowledge, emotion easily turns into a raging flood, powerful yet blind, capable of sweeping away even the one who carries it. A truly good life, therefore, lies in neither extreme, but in their harmonious union. The heart lights the purpose, and reason keeps that flame from burning us alive. Love is not merely romantic feeling, it is vibrant life energy, genuine care, deep compassion, and passionate engagement with people and the world around us. It urges us to step forward, to connect, and to create value. Yet it is knowledge that teaches us how to love wisely, when to move forward, when to pause, when to give, and when to hold back. Knowledge is like a compass on a long journey. It does not decide whether we go, but whether we go in the right direction. Then decisions are no longer ruled by fleeting emotion, nor trapped by dry calculation. Instead, every choice becomes a perfect fusion, warm with the heartbeat of the heart, yet sharp with the clarity of understanding. An action born of love, but guided by knowledge, will be not only beautiful in meaning, but also enduring in its long-term consequences. Perhaps a good life is not one without falls, but one in which every mistake is still illuminated by deep awareness and embraced by warm love. And when we live in that balance, we do not merely exist, we truly live with fullness, rich depth, and the power to spread goodness throughout the world around us.